So what if I want to stage this printer? What if I want to stage a few hundred printers? What do I need to do? Well, we're going to talk to this printer over ZPL. So let's go back in and configure our printer settings. So we'll configure this. We're using about a 3x2 label and draft no speed darkness. We want the darkness to be a little bit darker. So um, just about 5. So you don't want to go too dark, but I just want to make this a little bit darker. So that's one change that we're going to make. The media type is gap sensing. We're not continuous paper, and we don't have black marks on the back for that, so we're just sensing. And then everything else is pretty much default. So we'll hit there. None of that. So I'm going to save these settings to a file. So those settings in there, they saved here. This is our ZPL format, so let's, but all these can be found in our ZPL manual, and they all have values, and they all have, you can see there. So let's go and do the network settings now. So I'm going to do my configure printer connectivity, which we did before. So I'm going to pause probably and skip through a little of this, or maybe not. We'll just change it to a file. And here's what that file looks like. So, some of the items here, I'm sure it's mixed in my passphrase, my SSID, and whatnot. So all that is all here. And you see it saved it as a ZPL file, because that's how it needs to be sent. So you can see from here, we're going to combine these two. We can make a staging file. You see there's some items down here, and then, but we always start with an XA, and the XZ is the end. So you see here's another XA and XZ. So whatever configurations have to be surrounded by that. XA, XZ, XA, XZ. So we're going to lump all this into one file and make it look like this. Just combine some of these at the end, combine the wireless with the print settings. We'll hit save. We're going to say Control A, and we're going to copy this. So if we want to stage it, instead of going through all these commands, we can do it two ways. Open our printer tools and send a file. We can send our ZPL file. That will configure it. We can also open communications with the printer. That will configure it. And you'll see once it's sent, your last line here is device reset. So once it restarts from scratch, it should come back up on your wireless network, darkness of 15, and yeah, again, wireless is all set up. You could also have this ZPL file on your mobile phone, a Zebra device, and use the Zebra utility to send the ZPL after do a tap and pair over NFC, connect to the printer, and send these same settings that way. You could also have our printer profile manager enterprise send down this ZPL file to configure the printers as well. That's a nice low-cost MDM for the printers. So as mentioned before, we can use the Printer Profile Manager Enterprise to manage a printer population as well. With this, you can get the printers online and make changes, see the list of printers, and do tests that way. So I have, if we go find the ZQ620 we were talking about before. So we'll bring this up. We'll select ZQ620s. And here is the one that I'm working with. And what we're going to do is you can add a tag within the system. And you can add a site, you can add a state, you can add really anything that's going to help you associate where this printer is when you want to see printers in a specific location right away. And so I'm just going to add one for my lab here, and we're just going to say tags, add my tag, and we see it here, so we're going to say add. So when I come back to printers, I can look at the tags, and this can be my state that I'm going to. So all the printers to that tag are listed in here. So I have a few other printers that I can add here. So if I go to my main screen, I find my tag, and here's the 3 that are here. So, and you can kind of see that it is a pretty real time. So I'm online. If I open up my cover, oh, the cover's open. I can tell that right away. So when I see my printers, and then I'm just going to close it, and there it is. Back online again. So it's ready to roll. Now, if you have your printers, you want to discover them all. You can discover them in different ways, multicast. But this server, this software sits on your network. This software is provided by Zebra and built by Zebra, and it was purchased in I think 250 printer chunks for licenses. So all of these. So if you have under 250, you'll have 250 license. All you need. This gets built on yours, and then it just gets pointed to your server, um, or it can be found. So you can add printers, you can do subnets, you can do multicast, where it will go out and search the network for printers running Link OS, and that's the key. Your printer has to be running Link OS, which most of the printers within the last 4 or 5 years, are running a version of Link OS. So you can create profiles that send down firmwares and settings, so you can completely configure these. You can upgrade all your printers. You can create your Wi-Fi configurations if you want to change it every 6 months. You just could add settings here. Um, if you go under certificates, if you need to add certificate server where the certificate in the Wi-Fi network needs to be requested from, and then also um, the management of that, where's the server, and a lot of good information. And then you would just create a provisioning as well. You can create the provisioning to be sent out. Um, Again, there's your tags and just different resources. Here's where you could put a lot of your files, firmware, card, just different items. So in here you get a nice big visibility of all your printers. If you want to break them down by printer, you can click on a link. If you want to do mobile or industrial, if you have some warehouses with some ZTs out there, um, you can do it that way. Or you can pick a site and view them that way. So to manage your printers, to discover them, to send down Wi-Fi, any types of settings, any types of files, Printer Profile Manager Enterprise can do that there. If you go to our support page, you'll see 2 other options for managing the printers. They can be managed through 2 of the main MDMs, AirWatch and SOTI. And you see under the support page, here's an AirWatch connector and the SOTI Mobi control connector. And we'll talk about that as well. You can go to each page and it will talk about what's there. You can get more information. So if we go to, so this is really the connector server. This is a server that sits on your network. It acts as the middleware between your printer that's somewhere on your network and between your SOTI or AirWatch server. The printers will come in and interface with this, and then the information will be sent along off to SOTI and AirWatch and vice versa. So they're checking in with this server. They're not actually checking in directly with your SOTI server. And this can be used to, and the connector with the MDMs can be used to send down the configuration files, the ZPL files, to configure the printers with site-specific or area-specific information, wireless profiles and all that. But where you're going to see in SOTI is um, um, the information about the printers and have an asset list of what printers are in your profile. So if we can get into the printer, um, the look at SOTI itself now. So here you see there's an add device rule for printers that can be set up in SOTI. So you see here in your dashboard that the printers are listed and with some basic information, firmwares, IPs, the models and whatnot, but there it's listed. So if you click on a printer, it'll give you a lot of information on the details, names, last checked in, network IDs, active. Some of it will do print head, how many print jobs have been done, how many labels have been printed, um, available storage on the device. You can also see, the model name, MAC address, and a lot of the idea or the information about the print qualities, print speeds, and whatnot. From there, there's also a configurations tab that can tell you the profiles and an assignment rule, so you can assign it to a group or a site within the MDM. And within SODI, you can create, once the printer comes in, create a relocation rule to add it to if you were breaking this down per store, per district, per state, per area, per warehouse. And then within the rule, you can create a data collection rule to where you can decide what you would like collected from the printer to be displayed in the console, on the dashboard, or when you go into the details of the printer. And within this as well, the same way you can do with mobile devices, you can create an event. Somebody will get an email or be notified that labels out, print heads open, um, get certain values in terms of the status of the printer. And when sending down the updates, you would create a ZPL like we did in the other, and you can create rules to where in the package that update goes down to the devices that you want it to in specific groupings. So if you wanted specific information going to specific groups, you would create this ZPL just for those groups. And if you needed a second set, you could create a ZPL and that goes down to the devices as well. So in the end, you have your printers on the dashboard. You see who's online. You can see statistics about it through SODI and AirWatch. But again, you see the configuration is still done over ZPL, going down, creating packages with ZPL. You're not creating changes within the SODI, and that's being sent to the device. And again, the connector server is a separate server that is on your network. The printer points to it, and that translates the data back into SODI.